respect them. We respect their bravery. We respect their heroism. They are out in the streets demanding that Russia's government, their government, stop this unprovoked and unjustified war. We've seen leading Russian journalists denouncing Putin's war of choice. We have heard of Russia's mothers concerned about the reckless deployment of their sons to a needless war. These courageous people of conscience in Russia persist. They persist despite the Kremlin's reinvigorated crackdown. This, too, is classic from Putin's playbook. Whenever challenged by people, his own people, speaking truth and opposing views, his tactic is to silence them. The people of Russia, as we have said time and again, are not our enemy. We hold President Putin and his cronies responsible for this war, not them. We join you in saying no to war. Niet vnia. President Biden has said from the start of this crisis, if President Putin chooses to invade, the cost to Russia will be immediate and profound. To its financial system, to its economy, to its technological base, and to its strategic position and ambitions, as well as its reputation in the world. And the world has now witnessed that Putin has made a choice. He rejected diplomacy, he has chosen war, and President Biden has announced our response. To be clear, this is not the outcome we wanted. This is not the outcome we sought to prevent. It's both a tragedy for the people of Ukraine and a choice Putin made that he has decided for the people of Russia. This is a choice that has been decided for them, not by them. Putin's war of choice has required that we follow through on imposing the massive consequences and severe costs, and that we ensure his flagrant violation of international law will be a strategic failure. We stand united with our NATO allies and partners in Europe and around the world in confronting the Russian government and holding President Putin and those around him to account.
Thanks, Ed. I just want to, I think you might have misspoken. This is the outcome you sought to prevent, right?
This is the outcome that we sought to prevent.
Can I ask you, this may be already kind of OBE, but there was this proposal, the Chinese and the Chinese proposal the Russians seem to have picked up on, at least for an hour or so, about talks between Russia and Ukraine happening in Minsk. I know the Secretary spoke to Foreign Minister Kuleba today. What's the U.S., what's your thinking about the efficacy of such talks?
Well, Matt, you've heard us say before that over the course of several weeks leading up to the events that we've seen recently in Ukraine, the assault on Ukraine, its sovereignty, its territorial integrity, and really its people, that Moscow engaged in a pretense of diplomacy. That was before the invasion started. Now we see Moscow suggesting that diplomacy take place at the barrel of a gun, or as Moscow's rockets, mortars, artillery target the Ukrainian people. This is not real diplomacy. Those are not the conditions for real diplomacy. We and our allies have called for a real diplomatic solution from day one. President Zelensky, for his part, has repeatedly reached out to President Putin, but his outstretched hand at every turn was met now by silence and now bombs. If President Putin is serious about diplomacy, he knows what he can do. He should immediately stop the bombing campaign against civilians, order the withdrawal of his forces from Ukraine, and indicate very clearly, unambiguously to the world that Moscow is prepared to de-escalate. We have not seen that yet.
So you don't think it's a good idea?
We have not seen any indication that Putin is prepared to de-escalate. We have not seen any indication that he is willing to create the conditions in which diplomacy can succeed.
Just to put a super fine point on it, it is not the question of the it is not a question of the venue. If the same talks without some kind of significant change from the Russians, you don't think talks anywhere.
This is a question that is much more fundamental than the venue. This is a question of whether diplomacy can succeed under these conditions. We do not think it can.
Okay. Then just secondly and finally for me, Finland and Sweden were invited to participate in this NATO meeting in Brussels earlier today. And the Russians have, I don't know, issued a warning, saying that if they were to join NATO, and I know that there isn't any current plan for them to do so, but if they were, that there would be repercussions, military and political repercussions for them. Now, I'm not going to ask you whether the U.S. would encourage or support Finland or